while she went to work for a couple that lived in another village many miles away. Grandma Melba nodded along as Cleveland read from the birth certificate. Date of birth, 26th of August, 1955. Is that a Sunday? Yes, Miss Melba, it's a Sunday. Good. Me glad to you get that right at least, because a Sunday the child born. Cleveland continued. Mother's name, Violet Pearl James. Father's name? Them just put a line through this box, Miss Melba. You didn't tell me a name to give them. If he'd hoped that Grandma Melba would tell him who the father of his sister's child was, her silence left him unenlightened. Place of birth, Rose Hill District. Cleveland had taken his time to get to my name, as Grandma Melba later told me. Me could tell him forget something, but because the rum inside him, he no did know what him forget. Child's name? Erna Annette Mullings. Erna? What kind of name that? No, Irma Annette Mullings, me did tell you said the child name should be. You see how the rum mash up your head, Cleveland? You better pray to God for help you before you're dead. But Grandma knew there was no changing the name. She had registered enough babies to know that once a name was recorded in that great big book, that was it. So, Erna, I became. Chapter 2. Fewer than 100 people lived in my village, and nearly all of them were related to my grandparents in some way. There were brothers and sisters, others related by marriage, and cousins several times removed. Many were old or middle-aged, but there were still plenty of children back then. Later on, it was as if the Pied Piper had arrived one day and persuaded an entire generation of young women and men to leave the village and follow him to a land of no return. There were around 30 houses scattered over several acres of land, all brightly painted in an array of greens, oranges, and sea blues. Many of them were set off with flower beds, edged with whitewashed stones. As a child, I thought our house was huge. It had 4 similarly proportioned rooms, and I believed it to be one of the prettiest in the village. The floor of my grandparents' room was tiled in red and white Spanish tiles, a legacy of the Spanish colonization of the island in the 16th century. The rest of the house, including the room I shared with my sister and 2 brothers, had floorboards made from cedar wood. One of my jobs was to apply copious amounts of cardinal polish to the floors on a daily basis, which kept them gleaming like mirrors. There were wide gaps between the boards in our room, which made it easy for all manner of small creatures to crawl in. I often saw large scorpions, tails curled over their backs, hovering in corners, or many-legged centipedes making their way to some hiding place. Most nights I laid in bed and watched as sugar lizards raced each other up and down the walls and across the ceiling. The third room, which was called the hall, had multiple uses. It housed an etched glass cabinet decorated with flowers. Inside were dozens of pretty glasses, china plates, bowls, cups, and saucers. There was a black case with blue velvet lining containing a cutlery set with creamy bone handles. On the underside of the box it said, "Made in Sheffield." When I asked Grandma where Sheffield was, she sucked her teeth and waved me away. "Child, that is a question for your grandfather. You well know me no school good. Anyway," she continued, "the things belong to your mother. She did say she a collect things for our bottom drawer, but me no know what she did mean by that. And as you can see, the things them still they are ram up the place." The hall was where my grandparents sometimes met with visitors. On Sundays, we would all eat around the table there. It was also the room where visiting relatives slept on a double bed, the mattress of which remained encased in thick, see-through plastic. I never understood how it was possible for anyone to sleep well on that bed. The mattress of the iron-framed bed I shared with my brothers and sister had more broken coils than it had intact ones, and all 3 of them wet the bed on a nightly basis. This meant that finding a spot to sleep on that was neither wet nor sharp was almost impossible.